Good Country People by Flannery O'Connor, Part 4 of 7. Miss Freeman was insisting upon her attention. She had moved the refrigerator to the heater so that Miss Hopewell had to turn and face her in order to seem to be listening. "Glennie's gone out with Harvey Hill again last night," she said. "She had this sty." "Hill?" Miss Hopewell said absently. "Is that the one who works in the garage?" "No, he's the one that goes to the chiropractor school." Miss Freeman said, "She had this sty. Been had it 2 days. So she says that when he brought her in the other night, he says, 'Let me get rid of that sty for you.' And she says, 'How?' And he says, 'You just lay yourself down across the seat of that car, and I'll show you.' So she done it, and he popped her neck. Kept on a-popping it several times until she made him quit. This morning," Miss Freeman said, "she ain't got no sty. She ain't got no traces of a sty." "I never heard of that before," Miss Hopewell said. "He asked her to marry him before the ordinary," Miss Freeman went on, "and she told him she wasn't going to be married in no office." "Well, Glennice is a fine girl," Miss Hopewell said. "Glennice and Caramay are both fine girls. Caramay said when her and Lyman was married, Lyman said it sure felt sacred to him. He said he wouldn't take $500 for being married by a preacher." "How much would he take?" the girl asked Miss Stove. "He said he wouldn't take $500, Miss Freeman repeated. "Well, we all have work to do," Miss Hopewell said. "Lyman said it was just felt more sacred to him," Miss Freeman said. "The doctor wants Caramay to eat prunes. Says instead of medicine. Says them cramps is coming from pressure. You know where I think it is?" "She'll be better in a few weeks," Miss Hopewell said. "In the tube," Miss Freeman said, "else she wouldn't be as sick as she is." Helga had cracked her 2 eggs into a saucer and was bringing them to the table along with a cup of coffee that she had filled 2 full. She sat down carefully and began to eat, meaning to keep Miss Freeman there by questions if for any reason she showed any inclination to leave. She could perceive her mother's eye on her. The first roundabout question would be about the Bible salesman, and she did not wish to bring it on. "How did he pop her neck?" she asked. Miss Freeman went into a description of how he had popped her neck. She said he owned a '55 Mercury, but that Glennice said she would rather marry a man with only a '36 Plymouth who'd be married by a preacher. The girl asked, "What if he had a '32 Plymouth?" And Miss Freeman said what Glennice had said was a '36 Plymouth. Miss Hopewell said there were not many girls with Glennice's common sense. She said that she admired in those girls was their common sense. She said that reminded her they had a nice visitor yesterday, a young man selling Bibles. "Lord," she said, "he bored me to death, but he was so sincere and genuine I couldn't be rude to him. He was just good country people, you know," she said, "just the salt of the earth." "I seen him walk up," Miss Freeman said, "and then later I seen him walk off." And Helga could feel the slight shift in her voice, the slight insinuation that he had not walked off alone. Had he? Her face remained expressionless, but the color rose into her neck, and she seemed to swallow it down with the next spoonful of eggs. Miss Freeman was looking at her as if they had a secret together. "Well, it takes all kinds of people to make the world go round," Miss Hopewell said. "It's very good we aren't all alike." "Some people are more alike than others," Miss Freeman said. Helga got up and stumped, with about twice the noise that was necessary, into her room and locked the door. She was to meet the Bible salesman at 10 o'clock at the gate. She had thought about it half the night. She had started thinking of it as a great joke, and then she had begun to see profound implications in it. She had lain in bed imagining dialogues for them that were insane on the surface, but that reached below to depths that no Bible salesman would be aware of. The conversation yesterday had been of this kind. He had stopped in front of her and had simply stood there. His face was bony and sweaty and bright, with a little pointed nose in the center of it, and his look was different from what it had been at the dinner table. He was gazing at her with open curiosity, with fascination, like a child watching a new fantastic animal at the zoo, and he was breathing as if he had run a great distance to reach her. His gaze seemed somehow familiar, but she could not think where she had been regarded with it before. For almost a minute he didn't say a thing. Then, on what seemed an insect of breath, he whispered, "You ever ate chicken that was 2 days old?" The girl looked at him stonily. He might have just put this question up for consideration at the meeting of a philosophical association. "Yes," she presently replied, as if she had considered it from all angles. "It must have been mighty small," he said triumphantly, and shook all over with a little nervous giggle, getting very red in the face, and subsiding finally into his gaze of complete admiration, while the girl's expression remained exactly the same. "How old are you?" he asked softly. She waited some time before she answered. Then in a flat voice she said, 17. His smiles came in succession like waves, breaking on the surface of a little lake. "I see you got a wooden leg," he said. "I think you're brave. I think you're real sweet." And this is where I'm going to end part 4.